Hello, BookTube. There are evenings when even I, uh, incredibly sexy 28-year-old with a freakish metabolism, will admit to feeling just a little bit run down. And tonight is one of those evenings. So I thought a perfect way to pick myself up would be to open packages with you. So we have another mail haul, and I'm hoping that it gives me a little boost of energy. Uh, it's mail haul number 11, I think, or mail haul number 12 of 2017. Uh, and it's not many packages, but the first one is a mystery to me. It's exotic. It comes from Australia. It's postmarked from Melbourne, from the Text Publishing Company. And it's so strange because every other package that I get in the mail, I can look at the return address and say, oh, I have fond memories, but not Australia. This comes from a place I have never been, a place I will never see. So let's see what it is. Can't imagine that a publisher would want to send me a book all the way from Australia. Well, at least some things never change, no matter what country. Here, let's just manhandle our way in past the asbestos. Oh, okay. All right. This is Text Publishing. I did request this. Great. Didn't know it was coming all the way from, I thought it was coming from an American publisher. This is A Land Without Borders by Nir Baram. My Journey Around East Jerusalem and the West Bank. Uh, let me read you here. Award-winning author and journalist Nir Baram spent a year and a half traveling around the West Bank and East Jerusalem. In this fascinating account of his journey, Baram navigates the conflict-ridden regions and hostile terrain to speak with a wide range of people, among them Palestinian Israelis trapped behind the separation wall in Jerusalem and Jewish settlers determined to forge new lives on the West Bank. This is a subject of perennial interest to me, and a strong hope of mine is that I can review this for a big audience. It's a subject of perennial interest to me, and also in the last 10 years, it is one of a small handful of subjects that I have mostly explored in print, which is an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling to sort of sort out your thoughts on something in print. I have a feeling in the 21st century that one of those subjects will be Edward Snowden, and also cyber warfare, those two connected things. But it's a weird feeling to look at 10 reviews and realize that they are the imprint of your education on a subject. That's maybe I'm not making that clear. It's an aspect of being a hack that more considered intellects probably don't ever feel. And I don't do it on everything either. Although I'm not sure that I wouldn't if I could. Some of the subjects in which I love to educate myself are of no interest to paying editors. This thing has to be. We're in package number 2. Package number 2 also needs to be completely dismembered in order to be opened. So it's not a good start for packaging, but let's see what this is. This is Princeton University Press, and it's okay. It's due on the 1st of March, and it's called Decolonization: A Short History by Jan Janssen and Jürgen Osterhammel, translated from what, the German? I don't really know. Yeah, translated from the German. This is a book about decolonization. Okay, the end of colonial rule in Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean was one of the most important and dramatic developments of the 20th century. In the decades after World War II, dozens of new states emerged as actors in global politics. Long-established imperial regimes collapsed, some more or less peacefully, others amid mass violence. decolonization takes an incisive look at decolonization and its long-term consequences, revealing it to be a coherent yet multidimensional process at the heart of modern history. Okay. All right. Well, I agree. It's at the heart of modern history. I know it's deeply ironic for an American to say, but nevertheless, I think the history of the track record of decolonization is disastrous. I think that it's hard to point to a single case that happened in the 20th century in which you can amass enough objective facts to say that decolonization was a good thing. I think the number of cases where that is true, where the former colony is better off, its people are better off, the world is better off now that it's a free and independent state. The number of examples where that's true vanishes to almost none, in my opinion. But that's a very unpopular opinion, so I don't want to start fights with my subscribers. So let's move on. We'll find something less contentious here. Oh, fantastic! Great. Okay, this is by Rob Wesson. This is Darwin's First Theory, and this is a book. I requested this as well. I think I know what this is about. Let's see here. Everybody knows, or thinks they know, Charles Darwin, the father of evolution and the man who altered the way we view our place in the natural world. But what most people don't know is that Darwin was actually on board the HMS Beagle as a geologist, on a mission to examine the land, not flora and fauna. Retracing Darwin's footsteps through South America and beyond, geologist Rob Wesson tracks the Andes, sails along the Beagle's nautical routes, hunts for fossils in Uruguay and Argentina, and explores sites of long-vanished glaciers in Scotland and Wales. He follows Darwin's path literally and intellectually. Very good. Very good. And of course, this is an advanced copy, so it won't have an index. But the key name here, aside from Charles Darwin, the key name in this book will be Sir Charles Lyell, about whom I know quite a bit, and whose work and letters and journals and whatnot I have read, including a big crate of them in manuscript, because the big and truly good, popular, groundbreaking book on the importance of Sir Charles Lyell has not been written, amazingly, in 150 years. Or maybe it hasn't, I don't know about it, but I think I would know about it. Well, you let me know. If you know of something, then you let me know. But this is great. This is an angle of Darwin that is books with an angle on Darwin are always welcome by me. And then we'll move on to here. No box to finish with today, unfortunately. It's been a no box kind of day, if you know what I mean. Well, of course. Of course. What would a Steve Mailhall be without a World War II era book? I swear, publishers know. They know that it's probably my favorite subject in history, and that they have a very good chance of getting a review. This is Tin Can Tyrants by John Vukovitz. And this is the heroic men and ships of World War II's most decorated Navy destroyer squadron. Interesting. Great. On August 29, 1945, the United States fleet entered Tokyo Bay to accept the Japanese surrender for almost 4 years of war. While Admiral William Halsey could have selected his flagship, the USS Missouri, to lead the victorious ships during the surrender ceremony, he granted that honor to a trio of destroyers, O'Bannon, Nicholas, and Taylor. Though far smaller than the majestic Missouri, the three vessels were part of Destroyer Squadron 21, the most acclaimed destroyer squadron of the war. In Tin Can Titans, the author tells the story of Destroyer Squadron 21 and the officers and sailors who earned the squadron its glory. Fantastic. Fantastic. That story has actually been told before. And if I recall correctly, a couple of the books that told it featured Tin Can in the title. So we'll have to see what kind of references this book does to its predecessors. And this comes out also in March. Okay, so Tin Can Tyrants. Very good. Very good. And that leaves us with the last envelope in a mail haul that so far has no made-up stories. So we have one to go. Has that ever happened before? That we've done an only nonfiction mail haul? I don't know. Let's see. Let's see where we can go. Oh, and we do. We absolutely keep it going. This is an entirely nonfiction mail haul that's mostly history. That's just fantastic. And it kind of shows you, any reviewer's mail hauls will tend after a while to reflect their work. This is, oh boy, this looks good. This is The Ambulance Drivers, Hemingway, Dos Passos, and a friendship made in and lost in war. Interesting. Oh my. Okay. I don't want to read. I want to read to you. I have plenty of time to read to myself. On a summer day in 1924, Ernest Hemingway and John Dos Passos were sitting in a Paris cafe, drinking vermouth, reading aloud passages from the King James Bible, and sharing literary aspirations. The two writers had first met on the European battlefields of World War I while volunteering as ambulance drivers. 8 years later, the war was still on their minds as they discussed the inadequacies of old writing styles to describe the conflicts that had shaped their generation. At that Paris cafe, between one cheap drink and another, young Hemingway and young Dos Passos were plotting a literary revolution. In Ambulance Drivers, James McGrath Morris narrates the journeys, relationships, and life-changing events that inspired the two greatest authors of the 20th century. My. Two greatest authors of the 20th century. No one ever says that about John Dos Passos anymore. Wow. Excuse me. From the corpse-filled Italian trenches to the tropical waters of Key West, Morris follows the turbulent friendship of two writers who, after being marked by the same war, reached very different conclusions. Oh my. Very good. Okay. So Hemingway, Dos Passos, and a friendship made and lost in war. And of course, the tedious Steve exploration on this book, you already know that it's coming. First of all, neither Hemingway nor Dos Passos are the two greatest writers of the 20th century, obviously. This comes out on April 1st, and can we name something in common that all three of the best writers of the 20th century have in common? Can we name it? I'll give you a little hint. It's something that Hemingway and Dos Passos don't have in common. Yeah, the three greatest writers of the 20th century are all women. So that rules them out. But the thing I love about that greatest bit, even though, it's a little bit of hyperbole, is that it includes John Dos Passos. Hemingway is a watchword. Everybody reads him. Everybody reads him in school. Everybody knows about him. Everybody can reel off the titles of his books. No one can do that about John Dos Passos, and he is a much better writer. The USA trilogy by John Dos Passos is a book that will change the way you look at fiction, exactly like the pub sheet said. Hemingway will not do that. He might change the way you hear dialogue in fiction, but he won't change anything else. He's actually a fairly conventional novelist, whereas Dos Passos was legitimately impatient with the strictures of formal literature, formal fiction. And it's such a smart and readable writer, too. Oh, my. Go to your library and find Mr. Wilson's War and read it. You will love it. You will absolutely love it. My prediction is that you will love it more than you have loved anything by Hemingway. I mean, if we blow the dust of veneration off, for instance, For Whom the Bell Tolls, and just read it, to put it mildly, you can see its flaws right away, and they grate on you. They don't go anywhere, and they aren't subsumed in the glory of the prose either. For every work that Hemingway did absolutely pitch perfectly right, he did a bunch that wasn't. And John Dos Passos was more of a perfectionist, and it shows in his finished work. And yet, all of Hemingway is in print all the time, and everywhere all the time. And he's become a shorthand for 20th century fiction. all of Dos Passos hasn't been in print in 35 years, and even fairly literate students of American fiction can't reel off his titles and don't have any favorites because they haven't read them. He's not taught in school. So, anyway, so we've got the ambulance drivers, the tin can titans, Darwin's first theory, decolonization, and A Land Without Borders. An entirely non-fiction book haul. Very nice. And that, that did perk me up just a bit. So, as usual, I owe you that. Thank you, BookTube. And I'll see you soon.